And hello to all my friends. Chodesh Tov, happy new moon of the month of Shvat. We have now stepped into the new threshold. We are in a new month and we get to cultivate new energy. We were all on holiday break for the last new moon of the month of Tevet, which is always the seventh night of Hanukkah. So I didn't get a chance to lead you, but I have a strong feeling we all felt the intensity of Tevet pretty strongly because Tevet is one of the 2 months of the year that we explore challenging and difficult emotions, such as anger, isolation, and chaos. If you think back on the past moon, I just want to see it by a show of hands. Raise your hand if you felt at all the intensity of Tevet with any anger, isolation, or chaos. I see some hands being raised, and the AI bot here is saying we have dozens and dozens of people raising their hand. If you can't see, okay, folks, I can't necessarily control the things that have happened, but I'm here to say that we were perfectly aligned with the Hebrew calendar, and we all got a chance to really feel into what Tevet has to offer. Tevet is the month where we are underground and we're in the dark spot and it's cold soil. And Shvat, now that we've stepped into it, is a month that we come out of that the fertile ground starts to slowly warm up into some rejuvenation, and that we get to emerge into what could be new life as we enter the end of winter. So I feel like we all need that. I'm here in Washington, D.C., and it's been really, really, really cold physically outside and a lot of new energy here. And everybody in our community is just talking about how we need to come together, we need to cultivate our hearts, we need to resource ourselves so that we can be strong for all the things that are changing. So we're going to do that today. Shvat is famous because the full moon holiday of this month, the full moon of Shvat, is Tu B'Shvat. It's one of our 4 birthdays. It's the birthday of the trees. And we're beginning to enter the season of full moon holidays because the full moon of Shvat is Tu B'Shvat. Next month will be Adar. The full moon of Adar is Purim. The next month is Nisan. The full moon of Nisan is Passover. So we have a lot to look forward to that's coming up. We have planting seeds and rejuvenation. We have joy and we have freedom that's on the cusp of what's coming energetically in the Hebrew calendar. But I just want to say that I love Jewish time because it helps me anchor where to place my heart and soul. And oftentimes, if I really think about it, it is really how I'm feeling. And so I just want to give a shout out to the Hebrew calendar for having a month that is intentional about teaching us how to explore and be in relationship with the very normal feelings of anger and chaos. And that it comes every year. And it's part of what it means to be a human on earth. And it's, we can meet it with different types of energy. So for many folks, it's been a past 15 months of anger, and we have anger on the horizon for what's coming up, and in many people's lives that are really suffering. And so I just want us to remember to be Jewish about it and see what the teachings can be. So, but now we can say goodbye to Tevet for now, and let's enter into Shvat together. Trees. Let's have a little party before we get into our meditation, which is going to lead us through today. I'd love to keep the chat going and just get some collective wisdom from the 174 souls that are here, 175 souls that are here, some favorite things about trees. And we'll bring that into the wisdom of the chat together here. I'm seeing a lot of direct messages, so make sure you're sending it to everybody so that we can see that together. The reason that I wanted to ask you all this is because in Torah, the greatest book club of all time, we see that the human being is like a tree in the field, and the Torah is a tree of life, and we are a tree of life. And so we're all connected in this way. And of course, humans breathe in the air that the trees breathe out, and we breathe in the air that they breathe out. And so we're breathing each other into existence. There's a lot of wisdom that comes from trees, and it's interesting to think about that in the relationship with who we might want to be. They have cycles. They have an inner being. They mark age with their rings. They provide shelter. They give beauty and protection. Deep roots lead to taller branches. They breathe. They shed, and they go through a renewal cycle. They're very consistent and dedicated to their spot. They give us historical perspective. They're diverse. Forests are actually a group of different types of trees living next to each other. They live in families. Underneath the roots, underneath the soil is where a lot of magic happens. We can't see it. It's where trees resource each other. It's where they ask for help, and then other trees step in to give them nutrients. Or if a tree has a little extra sunlight, it knows to pass it on. They're communicating with each other, and so on and so on. They're also not stagnant, even though it looks like the tree is just the tree that's right in front of me in my house is just always there, but actually it moves with the wind. It can be flexible. It can be resilient. It's not afraid of the cycle of its life. When it seems like it's barren, it's actually growing roots deeper and stronger into the ground. So, with that awareness of trees, I want to bring us into the beginning of this month where we get to really explore that. And also remember that we are like a tree. Our roots give us the sustenance to ask for help and to resource others. They can be like our ancestors that are supporting us. Our trunk is who we are. Our branches are where we go with our greatest gifts, and our fruit can be happen when we feel fully resourced in the world. This is what can be. Last thing I want to say about this month is that the Hebrew word for sap, seraph, actually means fire. The time of actually warming up. And you can't see the sap necessarily changing or going, but it's there. And so I want to invite us to also sit with the fire, the seraph that we have that's going from us. I said I didn't say the last thing I want to say, but this is actually the last thing I want to say. In the winter time, like right now as it is, you would think that in Tu B'Shvat we have a Seder, a way of coming together, a meal that gives us order to celebrate the fruits and the nuts and all of our love for trees on Tu B'Shvat. And it was a practice that was invented in the 1600s by the Kabbalists. And you would think in wintertime it would be about mostly survival. Like, I don't know about you, Ball, but when it comes winter, I just want to put my head down, my cozy socks on, my heat lamp, and I just want to get through the next 3 months. But the Kabbalists teach us that it's not just about survival, because if it was just about survival on Tu B'Shvat, we would just eat bread or other types of survival types of food. But actually, on Tu B'Shvat, we enjoy, we taste the fruits. We give ourselves permission to truly enjoy the life creation that happens, and to see the beautiful, sweet, and savory things that we get from Earth. And so it's not just about survival; it's also about giving ourselves the permission to thrive. So with that, let's settle down into our meditation. Enough talking from me. Ground your feet to the floor. Bring your spine and your trunk up to a dignified position. Allow your eyes to close. I teach with my eyes open, which is good for me to hold the space, but I invite you to let your eyes close or soften them. Today, we're going to do a visualization of being a tree in the field or being a tree in a forest. And we'll just take a couple of moments of settling in, inhaling together. Big open mouth, exhale. Inhaling, exhale. I invite you to open your mouth and let an audible sound out. Even if you have people around you, they'll know, oh, they're meditating. Ah. Just like us, new trees grow from ancestors before them. So imagine yourself as a seed that has dropped from your parents or your grandparents, the tree, found itself in the ground, and was buried in soil. Imagine that seed starting to grow roots, tiny little roots, reaching out, finding the nearby roots of our ancestors and beginning to grow towards them and wrap around them. Imagine with each inhale, you are receiving nourishment. And with each exhale, it's growing stronger roots from the seed. Imagine your trunk sprouting, breaking soil, reaching up. See the trunk continuing to grow with each breath. Explore what it's like to be your own independent trunk, growing, except underneath the soil, completely intertwined by the trees and the community around you. And with each breath, being nourished by the sun and the water and the roots, and each exhale, becoming a stronger tree. Imagine branches growing from your trunk, taking all different shapes and sizes. No tree is the same. Notice if you need some extra nourishment from the trees around you and use your roots to ask for that support. Inhaling the nourishment, exhale, going stronger. Perhaps you feel good and sturdy and you have excess strength and energy, in which case I invite you to explore using your breath to send that to the other trees around you that might need it. Just like us, trees live in families, so the other trees around us are our parents and our kids and our grandparents and aunts and cousins and neighbors and best friends, and ask for help and give help. And not all the trees around us are still standing tall or still fully alive, but the support is there. Trees give that life energy even when they're no longer growing. Even after they've passed on, they're still part of the ecosystem. So bring those fallen trees with us too. It's part of nature, part of us. I know today we're all evoking the spirit of Madeline, who's our memory for today, whose tree is nourishing all of us and is even giving us the opportunity to be together meditating online. As we start closing our meditation, I want to give some time for some silence for you to experience your tree fully nourished. What leaves and fruit grow from it? Now that we're feeling in ourselves, in our mind's eye, the fullest, most nourished version of our tree. In your mind's eye, just look around from the perspective of all the trees around us together, supporting each other, asking for help at the same time. We'll close today. I know our physical bodies are not here together, but our roots, the roots of our souls are definitely entwined with our meditators here today. And we want to give us some blessings for each other. So we'll inhale with some of our own strength, and we'll exhale some blessings to the other people on the call. Inhaling and exhaling, thinking about folks who aren't here but are in need of our blessings. And we'll send some breaths to them. When we're ready, we can take our final breaths, allow our eyes to open, come back to our human form, find some eyes on the screen. They're part of our forest here today. I hope everyone has a blessed and rejuvenating Shvat. We take good care of our trees and our tree communities this month.
Thank you so much, Sarah. As always, Chodesh Tov to you, and thank you for this beautiful practice, tree practice today, and that beautiful blessing. Friends, we seal the practice we do each day, offering an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning or observing yahrzeit, or if it's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish to do so. Thanks to Harry for sharing the words on the screen. And if you're reciting Kaddish today, you're welcome to put the name or names of anyone you're honoring today in the chat, or in either now or after you recite Kaddish, and invite you to join me by rising in body or in spirit to recite the words. At this time, you can unmute at this time. Yit Gadal, Yadash,
Shmei Rabba
Yamad,
Alma
Brachute,
Dibra
Yamrit
Krute
Malchute,
Makute
Chayekon,
Vayom
Chayet
Israel
Israel,
Vala
Olam, Ban Kari,
Vemu Amen Baraki Rabba Maya
Brach, Olam,
Shabbat Via
Lamea,
Arvi
Maya,
Ulan Via Nase
Brach,
Tadar Via
Vishtabach,
Tale Via Tala
Uri,
Shemay Kudasham
Shmei
Dar Via Tale Via
Dar, Vital,
Rata
Malal,
Ruach Chata Menachemata
Bela
Tanya
Mikol
Eilan,
Amen.
Yerchatal, Shirata,
Ishlama Rabba Min Shemaya B'chaim Aleinu V'Yalkan
Lata,
V'Yalmavi
Yiran,
Amen.
Baal,
Say Shalom B'Malavi Say Shalom
Amar Rabba Min Shemaya,
Amen.
Ayim Aleinu
Ko
V'Yakol
Yisrael,
Yisrael
V'Imru,
V'Yamru Amen.
Amen.
Osei Shalom
Brahma.
Shalom,
Yasei
Brahma,
Shalom Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael
Israel, Tevel, Ru,
Amen.
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 Amen. And friends, thank you so much for joining us today. As always, I want to thank Sarah Waxman of At the Well for leading us beautifully on this Rosh Chodesh. Thank Harry Gobal for holding our tech space today. And I want to thank Donna Horowitz for sponsoring our practice today in loving memory of her daughter Madeline on the occasion of what would have been her 41st birthday. May her memory always be a blessing for you, Donna, and may her soul light the way for you and for so many others. Thanks so much for lifting up her soul today and supporting our practice. As always, you're invited to stay on. Those of you, some of you may be getting off to join the conversation between Josh Fagelston and Andres Spoini, but you're welcome to stay here and either just continue to sit with us or to raise any questions you'd like for Sarah or engage in conversation or ask questions. If you have a question, please put in the chat and write question all in caps. And otherwise, feel free just to share reflections. Sarah, thank you so much, as always. It's a very, very difficult, DC area today, and that horrible accident, hostages, everything that's going on here in the US and around the world. Hard times. And I think it's just, before we got on, you said, and I think you also said when we opened, that we're here to resource. And I just want to pick up where you ended about the interconnectedness of the roots. I don't know, I have no expertise in this, but I've read, and I'm sure many of you have read as well, about the ways in which trees communicate with each other through their root network, right? And I really felt that palpably when you invited us to feel the roots of all the souls that are present. And I also felt like, well, that's, we have family trees also, right, that were mentioned, that were nourished by our ancestors in ways that we don't even realize also. So I want to just thank you for that. I just appreciate you and appreciate the lifting that up, that when we're really stressed, I guess when trees are stressed, right, that they can draw strength from each other and from the whole system. I don't have a question at the end of that. It's really just an appreciation.
Kind of
So,
good, because I was like, I don't know how to say that better than what you just said.
well, I'm just repeating what I heard. So,
I taught in person in DC, so shout out to anybody that's in DC to come do some in-person programs with me. My aunt came, and she gave me this bottle of my grandmother's perfume that she took from her house when they sold the house. She apparently had a couple of her bottles,
mhm.
and I have it on my desk now, and she came up to me and was like, close your eyes, and then put it here. I was like, what does this smell like? And I was like, Bubby. And she said, yeah, this was Bubby's perfume. It's Miss Dior, by the way, if anybody else's Bubby had that smell. Christian Dior. And so now I have it on my desk, and I've been, because Shvat also is a time where we are supposed to use all of our senses. We're supposed to be like fully awakening and enjoying, tasting the dates and seeing the trees and hearing the movement happen and listening to what it's like to actually peel your tangerine and see if you can evoke awe in nature. And so I've been thinking about that, and now I have my grandmother's perfume on my desk, and it evokes so much for me if I just reach out and I just smell a little bit of Barbara Goldberg, and it like kind of that thing about feeling resourced by our ancestors. She's passed on in this plane for many years, but one little hit of her perfume just like evokes that grandparent love. What's better than that?
Thank you for sharing that. That's really beautiful. And it makes, I think it's an invitation for all of us in this month to connect with ancestors in that way and in that kind of visceral way, because I think that's, the smell, right, like you're describing, is really something that we can like feel in our bones in a way. Yes, Susan writes, smell right to our souls. There's a lot of interesting tidbits about Dior in the chat if you want to check that out.
Is that Judith Rosenbaum from Jewish Women's Archive that knows everything?
Different Jewish.
Okay, well, the legacy of names.
I'm just going to be open to questions. I don't really have any questions for you, Sarah. I just want, want to continue to savor that awareness. Tu B'Shvat, the thing about Tu B'Shvat, which is 2 weeks from today, is that, of course, the calendar is really geared to the climate of the land of Israel, right? And Tu B'Shvat, I don't know about you, probably you're like me, growing up in the Northeast, was always, we celebrated Tu B'Shvat kind of in the dead of winter. And there was a little bit of a disconnect, but I always like the idea that even before we notice spring coming, there's something that reminds us that it actually is happening, even, beneath before it's obvious, like before those first daffodils poke up, and we notice that, or the crocuses begin to pop up, and wherever we are,
Yeah,
that
the
process
fire
is
rising
happening.
of
I'm
the
sorry.
sap. The fire rising of the sap, like it's
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
As a CEO of a company, we think about getting projects done, and we
Mhm.
have all of our, project management tools, and we have to communicate with all these things to get something out the door to execute all the way. And I've
Mhm.
been reflecting on what it means to be a project manager of spring. Like the divine is,
A big
no
job.
words,
It's a big
no
job.
words to describe that. How do you get everything to come together to make things blossom? It's remarkable. And it's a lot of little Asana tasks checked off,
Yeah.
I guess, working at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just truly beautiful, and feeling inspired again by nature and the cycles of it and how I'm feeling right now. And no matter what a day is like, the sun is going to come up the next day, and I'm
Yeah.
part of it. And I tried to give a chance for us to feel our own independence, but to also know interconnectedness, because that's how trees are. You like see it's just one single tree there by itself, but underground it's part of this whole
Mhm.
ecosystem. And that's kind of how I'm thinking about myself right now. Um, just putting a huge emphasis towards resourcing myself and resourcing my community,
Yeah.
something that's in
I
my
just want
control.
to, maybe we can transition and close a little bit
We,
earlier
we have
today.
no questions.
That's
Is this a
okay.
Jewish group?
That's okay.
What's happening here?
That's fine. I think it just, I think we're savoring it. I think what I wanted to do is invite us to take that key word resource, as a theme for the month and into the day at a time, like someone in the chat said earlier, it's just too much. I think we can be quite flooded by,
Instead of closing the chat, I have a suggestion for some personal reflection that's not a meditation. And maybe people could put it into the chat, which are just a pause to answer this question of Shvat about how we are going to resource ourselves in the next week, in the next month. And feel free to write it down on a post-it note that you put it next to your computer, or if you feel like putting it into the chat a little bit. We know in Judaism that we speak our prayers, even the silent Amidah were spoken, and so we'll give our chance a second to maybe put some prayers in there for the type of resourcing that we want to do. Is that okay, Mark?
yeah, please. That's great. That's great. I'm going to sign off a little bit early.
Yes, you're.
Uh, just
Mark's
because
got a grandkid sitting right next to him.
I'm babysitting my granddaughter at the moment.
The
So
seed tree
my
right
time is
there.
up. Yeah, the tree is right here. So thanks, Sarah, so much as always. Keep those comments coming. And hope everyone, look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. Rabbi David Jaffe will lead us for our final sit of the week to sit into Shabbat together tomorrow at our usual time. I look forward to seeing everybody then. Thanks so much. Thanks, Harry. And thanks to Donna for sponsoring our sit today.
We'll take a couple more moments to answer the question of what are you going to do to resource yourself this month? Be outdoors, reach out to friends, do yoga and write and draw, connect with all that I can, dig deep, reach out to relatives that I haven't talked to in a while, be outdoors with the trees, listening to the birds, paint, music and IJS friends, my synagogue. Do more self-love and be in touch with myself a little bit more. Laugh, exercise, nourish the ritual my toddler and I have while we're waiting for carpool. Prune my garden, do yoga, meditate, rest. Torah study, hug my cat. See everything as a blessing. Be grateful for life. My next question is, how can you resource others this month? Show up. Spend time with them. Phone calls and emails. Checking in. Know it's okay to receive. Listen. Be present. Give. Say helpful, affirming things. Use phone and text. Give hugs. Express gratitude. Let them know I love them. Joy. Smile. Encourage. Thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you for taking a little bit of extra time to ask ourselves this important question. Happy Shvat. Let's get our roots strong so our trunks and our branches and our leaves can be strong and we can have a healthy forest together. I appreciate everyone's presence and being here together. And I personally will see you all back for Adar, famous for the laughing meditation. I think we'll keep it. And yeah, if you're looking for any other resources to help you bring some spirituality for the specifically Shvat, obviously IGS has a ton, and At the Well specifically has resources on teaching about the themes of each month. You just go to our website and check it out. And we have a program in Boulder if you're there on Sunday. And I just look forward to hearing how everyone's months were. Take good care and Chodesh Tov.